we were able to see the first ever Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson matchup in the playoffs recently. And the Kansas City Chiefs go into Baltimore, win the game 17-10. Baltimore was a 4-point favorite, and Kansas City goes on the road and beats Baltimore outright. This is the Kansas City Chiefs' fourth time going to a Super Bowl in the Patrick Mahomes era within a 6-year period. I mean, it's pretty astonishing what the Chiefs have accomplished in the Patrick Mahomes era. And let me just say, before I kind of get into this game, this has to be one of the best games from Travis Kelce that I've ever seen. I think Travis Kelce is easily the best tight end to ever play the game of football. I think he's better than Rob Gronkowski, better than Tony Gonzalez. And this is a masterclass put on by Travis Kelce. It just seems like every time you were going to throw him the ball, he was going to come down with a big catch, and he was big in this game. Patrick Mahomes started out hot, didn't play the best in the second half. The Chiefs were scoreless in the second half, but you got to give credit to Mahomes for setting the tone. Andy Reid coached a very good game, and Steve Spagnuolo, who's been the most underrated factor of the Chiefs dynasty, he dialed up a great game plan versus Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens offense. You got to give a lot of credit to the Kansas City Chiefs. And part of the story of this AFC Championship game that did not disappoint from an entertainment standpoint is the Kansas City Chiefs are one of the greatest dynasties in sports history up to this point, at least in football history. We'll just at least go that far. And they've got a long ways to go potentially as well as far as adding to this dynasty because Patrick Mahomes, he's only 28 years old, which is pretty scary. But when you look at the Baltimore Ravens and the landscape of their franchise, the Baltimore Ravens just blew their best opportunity to win a Super Bowl in the Lamar Jackson era. Super Bowl 58 was theirs for the taking to win, and they squandered it. They squandered the opportunity. Lamar Jackson did not play his best game, and the Ravens as a whole, they fell short to the Kansas City Chiefs as a result. And I'm not saying Baltimore can never win a Super Bowl in the Lamar Jackson era, but to me, when we look back on history, if they never win a Super Bowl in Lamar Jackson's time being the starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, this is going to be the year we look back and say, man, they really had a significant shot and they squandered it. The Baltimore Ravens had a reason to be favored in this game. You know, you look at the situation, you say, oh, you can never bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. I totally understand that thinking and that logic. Mahomes and the Chiefs have been there and done that. They've been in this proven spot before, and Andy Reid is already one of the 5 best head coaches to ever live in National Football League history. But the Baltimore Ravens had the best record in the NFL for a reason. They were the number 1 seed for a reason. The game was played in Baltimore for a reason because the Baltimore Ravens ran through the regular season and were destroying teams. They beat 11 of their wins this season came against playoff teams, and they were beating teams at times by an average score of 15 to 20 points? I mean, the Baltimore Ravens had a great season. But history shows us that Lamar Jackson might not win a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens considering where we're at. This is Lamar Jackson's 6th season in the NFL. We're heading into year number 7, and he's got no Super Bowl trophies to show for it. Only 2 playoff wins. And usually if you're a great quarterback and you're going to win a Super Bowl, you usually win one pretty early in your career. Patrick Mahomes, his 2nd season as a starter, won a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, his 3rd season as a starter, won a Super Bowl. You look at Russell Wilson and Tom Brady. You know, they were getting to Super Bowls early in their career, and Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl in his career, and Brady won 3 Super Bowls early in his career, and continued to get back to Super Bowls multiple times. But when you look at Tom Brady, he's kind of the exception to the rule, you know? So when it comes to Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, the only exception I can look at from an all-time great quarterback perspective, where it's like, man, you know, this quarterback is great, but they were kind of a late bloomer when it came to winning a Super Bowl. It's Peyton Manning. That's the only blueprint you can really look at. Peyton Manning finally came through and won the Indianapolis Colts a Super Bowl in his 9th season in the NFL. So there's still a little bit of a glimpse of hope if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan that, yeah, Lamar Jackson can kind of follow the Peyton Manning trajectory, but it sounds even kind of crazy with me saying this because as good as Lamar Jackson is, I don't think he's Peyton Manning. I just don't. I think Peyton Manning is one of the top 5 quarterbacks to ever live, no doubt about it. I actually think right now, to this point, he's in my top 3 all time. Only Montana and Brady are ahead of him. Now, maybe Aaron Rodgers can catch him if he wins another Super Bowl. Maybe Patrick Mahomes. Actually, not even maybe. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to catch Peyton Manning at some point if he hasn't caught him already as far as a legacy is concerned. Mahomes is just a much more better playoff performer. But I don't want to get into the nooks and crannies of Peyton Manning too much. Let me just say, at some point, Baltimore has to break through and actually win a Super Bowl. And with Lamar Jackson's play style, you don't know how much longer this Super Bowl window is going to be, just simply due to the fact that he relies so much on his athletic ability. And you look at a guy like Russell Wilson, who never suffered a significant injury, at any point in his career. It just seems like 1 minute he had it, and the next minute he didn't. Now, Russell Wilson is a guy that took a lot of hits in Seattle, kind of played a reckless but very fun style of football. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, I do think that there is a refined and smoothness to his game, but like where he's not taking as many hits as he was early in his career. He is throwing the ball, down the field and not running around as much and not playing this backyard style of football as much as he used to. But Lamar Jackson relies on his athletic ability a lot, and we don't know how much longer those athletic traits are going to be there. And is Lamar going to be the same type of quarterback and have the same type of impact if his athletic ability isn't quite there? We have to ask that question. And you can say, oh, you're being a poo-poo guy in the moment, but all I'm doing is just laying out the situation for you people. And when it comes to Lamar and the Ravens, they were at home. They were healthy finally this year. Mark Andrews suffered a significant injury. People thought he might be done for the season. He even played in this game. You were at home. You were healthy. You had on paper, to me, the better team and the better roster. And you go scoreless in the second half. Mahomes was scoreless in the second half of this playoff game, and Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens could only muster 10 total points on the game. If you would have told me heading into the game that Mahomes was going to outduel Lamar Jackson as far as just scoring points, I would have said, okay, maybe I disagree, but I could see that situation. Patrick Mahomes and the mighty Kansas City Chiefs only scored 17 points in this game. This was a game for the taking for the Ravens, and they absolutely blew it. 10 points at home, there were just fumbles and inopportune moments. Lamar threw a terrible red zone interception. And let me be very clear. I'm not labeling Lamar Jackson a choker. I'm not saying the guy can never come through in the clutch. But until Lamar Jackson actually gets to and wins a Super Bowl, he's going to be under a significant microscope because when you're a 2-time league MVP or soon to be a 2-time league MVP, when you're as talented as Lamar Jackson, you're held to a very high standard. And it's one of those situations where the Baltimore Ravens had every right to believe that Lamar Jackson could go out versus Patrick Mahomes and be the best quarterback on that football field, and he was not quite that. Now, the loss is not all Lamar Jackson. It's on the Baltimore Ravens as a whole. And when you look back on this situation, if Lamar Jackson and the Ravens never get to and win a Super Bowl during their time together, Super Bowl 58 is going to be the opportunity they potentially squander, and it just seemed like it's crazy to me. Kansas City down the stretch, they just seemed like the more composed and more buttoned up team despite them being the team that was the underdog, them being the team that everyone counted out, them being the team that had to travel from Kansas City all the way to Baltimore to play on the road in the playoffs. So when you look at Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, and the Baltimore Ravens, it's going to be very hard to go back to that drawing board because this legitimately was supposed to be their year. Lamar's MVP, the defense is playing great. Now if you're Baltimore, you're in a tough division. Pittsburgh is not going anywhere. Cleveland is ultra talented. We already know that Joe Burrow can lead his team to a Super Bowl. We've seen it happen already. If you're the Baltimore Ravens, this is a year where you just officially blew the best opportunity in the Lamar Jackson era to win a Super Bowl. Now, let me be very clear. Like I said, this is not me saying the Baltimore Ravens can never win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. All I'm saying is this was the best opportunity where they were actually kind of the favorites looking at the landscape of the NFL. And it's going to take a lot for them to get back to an AFC Championship game and even try to win a Super Bowl. It can be done, but history shows us this definitely was a missed opportunity, like I said.